All right, guys. So today, just a couple of hours ago, at least at the time that I'm recording this video, I'm probably going to upload it tomorrow. But just a couple of hours ago, Valve dropped a huge new CS2 update on us. And obviously, the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, this new update is the new limited edition item that has been added to CS2, the M4A1S Solitude, which is obviously a skin line that we've seen previously before, just with the XM1014 Solitude, being the last previously limited edition item, but now being on a much better skin, the M4A1S. So I think this is something people are going to be very, very excited about. So in this video today, we're going to be opening up a couple of these so we can take a look at some different patterns, and I want to buy them on the first day so I can try and sell them, right away when the 7-day market hold comes up to hopefully make some profit as well. But we're also going to be going over some information, giving some of my thoughts and opinions about this skin and what you guys should do with it, if we should be investing in it, staying away from it, whatever, keep an eye on it. So all kinds of stuff we're going to be talking about in this video today revolving this new CS2 update and this new CS2 skin. But of course, first, I just want to mention my cash trading business. If you guys are looking to sell any of your CS2 items, turn them into cold hard cash, crypto, PayPal, any other payment method, whatever, hit me up over on Twitter. It's going to be the first link in the description below. I like to buy anything for the right price, but you guys know we like to get the big deals done specifically. So if you have any expensive skins, gloves, knives, bulk cases, maybe you want to cash out your entire inventory all at once, whatever, hit me up. We can probably get a deal done. And you're helping support me, my channel, my content by selling to me as well. So, you can have more of these videos like unboxings and openings and all this crazy stuff that might be a little bit more expensive or cost some money or whatever. So with that being said, let's get right into this video today. So first up, obviously we have the M4A1S Solitude. This is obviously a pattern-based skin. If you don't know, the XM Solitude is what we previously saw. I think a lot of people are also saying they're having some issues with their XM Solitudes now that this item dropped. It seemed like the XM Solitudes are like glitching out or bugging out or whatever. So hopefully that's something that Valve does fix soon. But the gist of the XM Solitude, or the Solitude skin line overall, is like it's this big landscape, this big scenery, and every single skin pattern, like 1 to 1,000, there's gonna be 1,000 in theory. There should be 1,000 different unique ones of these. Is like a different snapshot, a different snippet of part of the landscape. So some will be a sunrise, some will be some wind, some clouds, whatever. They all look a little bit different, but overall this artwork is I think pretty. I think it's like a beautiful like piece of art. I do think it looks cool. But this gun, like with that being said, is going to come in different colors. It's going to come in different patterns, different combinations, all that stuff. Some of them are going to be more expensive than others, but not even that. Obviously, also you can get this in different wear. So you can get like a factory new great pattern. You can get a battle scarred trash pattern, whatever. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But like I said in the previous video, unlike something like the Desert Eagle Heat Treated, where you have blue gems and you have yellows and you have different amounts of blue and all that stuff, with something like this Solitude, it's going to be hard to price out which are the best patterns, which are the most desirable patterns, which pattern should be worth overpaying, all that stuff, because it's just going to be very different. It's not, you're not just going based on the amount of blue. Like you're literally going to have entirely different skins, entirely different works of art, whatever. So you're going to have to be very careful, with trying to figure out what your skin is actually worth and buying the right ones and all that. But it's going to be very, very interesting once people start making guides and once the market starts deciding which are going to be the best pattern for the skin and all that. That's definitely going to be very, very interesting. Now, of course, the biggest comparison of this is going to be to the Desert Eagle Heat Treated, because this XM Solitude, it is 25 stars in game, which is the same price as the Desert Eagle Heat Treated. Again, 25 stars is about $10. So this skin is going to cost you about $10 in stars, and that's what the Desert Eagle Heat Treated costs as well. And we remember that the Desert Eagle Heat Treated, there was 663,000 of these, at least officially reported by CS Float. Now, obviously, not every single skin that exists gets put into this Float database. So is there 700,000 of these? Is there 800,000 of these? 850,000, 900,000? I don't know exactly, what the percentage or ratio of what, gets put on Float versus what doesn't, but 663,000 is like a conservative estimate about how many of these were created. Now, obviously, when the Armory first dropped, and with the Desert Eagle Heat Treated being the first ever limited edition item, I assume it's maybe going to sell the best. I kind of assume the M4A1S Solitude isn't going to sell as good. Now, I don't know. Will people like this Solitude as much as the Heat Treated? Is it going to be better, worse? Obviously, an M4 skin is kind of better than a Deagle, but a Deagle is still a very, very good skin. But the thing about the Desert Eagle Heat Treated was that the blue gems and the good-looking Desert Eagle Heat Treated looked really, really, really good, but the regular Desert Eagle Heat Treated looked pretty ass. Like, overall, it was a bad skin. It was not very cool unless you got something really, really iconic. Now, that made a big difference between the high end and the low end stuff, but also it made it so if you just redeem it, you were probably going to get something pretty trash. Now, with the M4 Solitude, I think the high end isn't going to be as high, but I think the low end isn't going to be as low as well. I think there's going to be a smaller gap between the different price points. And I think overall, no matter what, you should be getting at least a pretty decent skin. I don't think any of these M4 Solitudes look too bad, but I don't think the best ones look like all that insane or all that great either. Now, I could be wrong. We're going to have to wait and see what the market decides. We're going to have to wait and see what all these patterns decide as well. But it'll be interesting to see how many of these Solitudes end up being created, and obviously how many of them end up being pulled and created is going to affect the investability of them, but it is a limited edition item. Eventually, it will go discontinued. This thing's going to be in the shop for 88 days. There's going to be a bunch of them created, and then it's never going to be created again. Now, overall, we can take a look at the different prices for the heat treated that we've seen so far. And it's really, really, really weird. Now, overall, if you got a heat treated, you probably lost money because, you can see here, the average battle scarred heat treated is 65 cents. Now, again, you spent $10 for a 65-cent skin. That is very, very, very disgusting. Well worn, 78 cents. Field tested $1.20. Minimal wear, $2.79. Now, if you did get factory new, you got $47.35. That is awesome. Now, we can start to look at the tier 1 blue gems in factory new, and you can see that you got a like $1,100 skin, which is obviously a huge, massive come up. Now, we can also look, if you look at like pattern 69, which is like, I believe like the number 2 or 3 overall pattern, it's worth about $2,600. So there were some very, very big opportunities for some huge come ups with Desert Eagle heat treated, especially in the blue gem, the most highly sought after pattern, stuff like that. But overall, a lot of the blue gems, you're going to get something pretty disgusting. You're probably going to get something that's like 65 cents. So I don't know. Were people happy with the Desert Eagle heat treated overall? Obviously, the heat treated was a lot better than the XM Solitude, but now the M4 Solitude is going to be very, very interesting as the new limited edition item. Overall, I still don't think I'm that big of a fan of investing in to these limited edition items because the supply is just so massive, and the supply doesn't get eaten up by trade ups or anything like that. So it's not a decreasing supply, but at least it's not an increasing supply either. Overall, I think they're like okay long-term investments. I don't think they're amazing. I think there's probably a better place to put your money, but if you really love the Desert Eagle heat treated or you really love the M4 Solitude or whatever, it's going to be interesting. But it's also going to be interesting to see what these prices end up being as well, to see if there's any money to be made in terms of unboxing them, opening them up, and trying to like farm them, stuff like that, because obviously people made a lot of money by farming the Desert Eagle heat treated by pulling the blue gem pattern, stuff like that. Will that also be possible with the M4 Solitude? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But it is now time for us to open up a couple of these bad boys. I have some armory stars. I have actually been playing the game a little bit. I know there's a comment on last video that was like, oh, I'm surprised that you were even playing the game. But yeah, I have been playing a little bit. It's been fun lately. So I've been grinding out some armory stars. I'm getting ready for hopefully a big armory update in like October or something like that as well. But this worked out perfectly where I do have some extra stars laying around. Again, $10 per spin on this thing. So pretty pricey, pretty expensive relative to the other stuff in the armory, because most stuff in the armory is pretty cheap. You're talking 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, whatever, 1 star for some of this stuff. And a lot of this stuff has insane ROI. Stickers and charms and stuff have like 130% ROI. So by spending 25 stars, there's actually a lot of opportunity costs here. If the M4 Solitude does suck, there's not as much incentive to actually be redeeming it. But first day, like I said, I'm going to try and sell these things right away. I'm going to try to have, some of the first ones ever, some of the first ones on the market. And I'm just kind of interested to see what kind of different patterns we can get for this video. And if we do get a cool pattern, if we do get something factory new, we'll probably make a nice little amount of profit. So let's start opening some of these bad boys up. The first ever M4A1S Solitude that I've ever opened up is going to be this one right here. I don't know, it's taking a second to load. That one actually looks pretty solid. We got, I do think a lot of people are excited about ones with like the rising sun on it. I think you want to get, as much of the sun and as much of like, big objects in the middle that you can. That one looks pretty decent. Obviously, we're going to have to take a look at the wear, but again, I really haven't seen too many patterns. I don't know like what the good and bad patterns are. I didn't really care about the XM Solitude that much, so I don't really know much about the skin overall. But to me, this one looks pretty good. If this is a good wear, that could honestly be one that ends up going for a nice amount. But let's see what else we get. I want to open up 4 of these overall. I want to spend 100 of my stars. Here's the second one we get. Now you can see this one is much, much, much worse. Like how the last one, that sun was perfectly centered. Now on this one, we have pretty much nothing in the center. It's kind of just a dark blue blob of nothing. This one also looks like it has a lot worse wear. I'm seeing a lot of black spots and stuff on it. We'll zoom into it and all that. But yeah, this one looks ass. If the other one is awesome, you can see here the sun is like on the silencer. It's like way up there. This one is not good. You do have some of the wind and stuff on the bottom, but yeah, that's got to be one of the worst available patterns, I would assume. Let's see what we can get for these last 2. We have another one here. Again, another bad one. Not really anything there on the back side. Not really anything too crazy. You definitely want to get as much unique, interesting, iconic stuff as you can in the middle. If you can get on the body of the M4, that's what I would assume is going to be the most highly sought after, the most, valuable overall for your money. And on this one, this is like okay. I would say the first one was amazing. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. The next two were pretty ass, and this one I would say is mid. You have, at least you can see the sun. You have some wind and stuff going on, some clouds. There is some things going on here. Backside looks kind of ugly, but the front side, you have some color on the suppressor as well. This one I would say is mid. I would say this one, probably market, whatever. I would say the other two are probably below market value, like definitely losing money there. But, depending on how much I make or loss or whatever on these, it's just going to be how much overpay that first one actually goes for. And I honestly have no idea how the market is going to set these prices, how people are going to sell these. How are you going to be able to sort through these and find these on third-party marketplaces? Because, like I said, right now on Buff 163, I can literally click on tier 1, blue gems and find the blue gem Desert Eagles. But, like, how am I going to do this for that? I'm going to click, like, rising sun patterns on this thing. I have no idea. It's going to be very, very interesting. But let's actually go take a look at these now. In the inspect on the game, this is going to be field tested, so that's a little bit disappointing. Obviously, now that I'm closer up, I can see there's definitely some scratches on the back end, stuff like that. But this pattern is nasty. Like, I'm gonna screenshot that and probably tweet that out because I think this has to be a pretty good pattern. So I'm gonna screen cap that real quick. Yeah, I don't know. As far as the pattern goes, I would assume this is a good pattern. Again, if it's factory new, I would say that's probably one of the best ones possible. Next up, we have this one. Again, not very good. This one looks battle scarred, field tested. Wow, I'm shocked that that's field tested. This one looks way, way, way more beat up. Yeah, not really anything cool or anything to talk about with that one. We can get into the third one that we pulled here. I have no idea what the float is on this. That's going to be minimal wear, 0.09 minimal wear. So again, obviously there still is going to be some value in having good floats and stuff. This one literally, I don't see too much wear on it. This one actually looks pretty nice. Maybe a little bit of wear and tear back here, but overall this one looks pretty clean. A low float, minimal wear. That is not too bad there, but the pattern just sucks. You need a good combination of wear and pattern. This one pretty beat up. This looks like it's going to be field tested again. Yes, 0.21 on the field tested. But like I said, this one looks mid. It's got some cool colors here. Got a little bit rising sun here. This one, not too bad, but definitely that first one that I pulled does look the best. Let's look at what it looks like actually with, the first person inspect animation. There we go. I think it looks pretty sick. This I can honestly see being a really, really nice play skin. Like I said, the Desert Eagle heat treated, the basic skin is pretty ass, but there's definitely some good ones. For this one, I think there's going to be less variance on, super good to ass and stuff overall. But yeah, overall, pretty cool skin. The new Lumination item is pretty crazy, and I can't wait to see, one, what the market decides on pricing in terms of this stuff, but also what you guys pull and what kind of different pattern stuff there is out there. I love when CS creates new content, and I love, pattern-based stuff and Lumination items and all that good stuff. Like I said, I'm still skeptical of the investability of stuff like the heat treated and the M4 Solitude and all that, but we'll have to wait and see what the market, decides in the next couple of years. But yeah, let me know if you're going to be opening these, you're going to be investing in them, you're going to be trying to sell them right away. Like I said, my plan is to try and sell these right away for as much as I can, get some money back, reinvest in more passes, reinvest in more stars, get ready for the next armory update, and go from there. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.